Hey, AfterBuzzers, welcome to the Sharp Objects After Show. We are talking about episode 2, Dirt, and woo, this was a doozy. We are going to talk a lot about spiders, funerals, pulling teeth, literally, and the woman in white. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Guys, I am feeling this vibe. Welcome to the Sharp Objects After Show. Thank you all so much for being here. I am your host, Lesley Powers, joined by my lovely panel. Ladies, introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, I'm Karolina Benetti.
Hi, I'm Heather Geisler.
We had a crazy show. I hope you all are tuning in. We also have a live chat going that Heather will be checking, so please join us there. And later on, stay tuned for the whole episode because we have an awesome special segment called the Feminist Chronicles, where we'll be highlighting a female journalist who made waves in her field. So stay tuned for that, and also some news and gossip about Patricia Clarkson, who plays Adora on the show. She was on Andy Cohen's show, Watch What Happens Live, so we're going to hear all about that. So I want to kick it off with some initial thoughts, ladies. I'm going to kick it off to Karolina. What did you think about episode 2, Dirt?
It was packed with so much information.
Yes.
And a lot of really great character development for the detective. So I'm really excited to see where his storyline goes. Yeah. And honestly, I'm really interested in this little boy and his mom. I feel like there is more to this story than we know.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
James Caprizi was his name, right?
Capizzi, yeah.
Capizzi, there we go. Yeah, I feel like there's something there.
Oh, yeah.
And also her sister. Okay.
Again, Emma.
Yeah.
Woo.
She's a weirdo.
Yeah,
In a good way.
I feel like we're diving in now, you know.
Is it not in a good way? She's just weird.
No, that one scene. Wait, that one scene where
Yes.
she's like, "Mom, I think she could be good."
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, no.
Oh, yeah. She's sipping some Kool-Aid, and I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, but I just feel like we're really like starting to get into all the details of the murder. We obviously know now about the whole teeth situation, and it's interesting getting the little like gold nuggets now. What's going on in this town?
It's a weird little town, Wind Gap. And we want you guys to, of course, chime in on any of your thoughts as we're going. We'd love to give you shout outs, so please join us on YouTube on our live chat. So I want to start. We started with some gruesome flashbacks. I know that's a really big part of the show, so I want to kind of hold off on those till later. We didn't have as many this time, so this was a lot focused on what was happening in the here and now, especially with Camille Preaker, who's our lead character, played by Amy Adams, who is wonderful. We love her. But I want to start with Detective Willis because he's kind of becoming a lot more of a main character. So we're seeing a lot more of what's going on with him. He seems to be like he's sweating all the time. Are you guys noticing that? He's like hot all the time. He's like super duper sweaty. So he found some flowers by the site where Natalie Keene was found, the girl that they just found who was murdered, and he thought that was a little suspicious. So what'd you guys think about he's just kind of he's like a little prickly about why he thinks maybe the killer left the flowers is kind of like, I did this and here's my little prize. So what did you guys think about him kind of being suspicious that maybe the killer was leaving these flowers at the site? Do you think that he did?
Run with this one.
Yeah. Do you think that murder did it?
I feel like he's just doing like a good job.
Yes.
Like he's actually investigating and probably not getting drunk like Camille is. So obviously she's there to report. But
yeah.
I feel like he's actively investigating the case, and it's reasonable to believe that the flowers were left by somebody, they think it's somebody in the town. So, and I loved seeing him trying to pull those teeth out of the pig.
Yes, we will definitely get to that. But what's interesting is that he went to a barbershop to get shaved, and the guy, of course, a local, was saying that, we're nice in this town. Like maybe somebody left flowers as like, sorry about the loss of this little girl. But immediately as a detective, he's like, no, this means something.
I think he's trying to see both sides to it. It can be either or, but he has to see the other side of it.
Agreed. And then the barber, I guess, was saying that Ann Nash, the other girl who died, was, left at the site where she was killed. So I think this is something that Detective Willis is struggling with. Like, why was Ann Nash left there, but Natalie Keene was, like, propped up like a doll in this windowsill, and they don't really match. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I thought maybe because there was more attention on it, because the first one with Anne, no one knew what was happening, and in that small town, certainly nobody expected a child to get murdered, let alone like abducted and murdered.
Yeah.
So
nobody wants to think that in their town, that's going to happen.
It's a generally safe town, you know? It's really small. Everybody knows each other. So I feel like the killer probably felt like they could get away with it. But they're going to be more blasé and, like, shocking the more murders that they do to rub it in their faces that they keep getting away with it. But in Camille's defense, she does keep meeting the detective at the bar, so he is drinking.
Yeah.
I think,
I just felt like he was super method about his...
I think he's just trying to,
search.
like, I think he's just trying to, like, rub elbows with everyone, you know? Did he need to go to the barber for a shave? Probably not.
Yeah. Well,
he wanted to talk.
And I think in the way Camille's doing that.
When he said that he wanted to get, like, the pulse on the town because he couldn't figure it out. So it's like that like in between where he feels like people are hiding things from him because he's an outsider and he feels like there's something wrong that he's missing. But the thing is, Camille feels the same way.
Yeah, I think that they're on the same page. And he's, you know, I don't think he believes that people are just being nice. I think, you know, he said he had been to the site where Ann Nash had died. And, you know, and so he saw that it was muddy around the creek where she was left. And so later on, when the funeral is happening for Natalie Keene, Camille catches him taking mud out of Bob Nash's tires, who's the dad of the little girl the first one who was murdered. So what do you think is up with the suspicion with Bob Nash? Because he seems to be pretty interested in his tires and the mud.
Yeah,
his tires.
He was being honest.
Bob Nash was the one who got kicked out of the party, right? Or, well, I shouldn't call it a
He
party,
did,
but
he
the
did,
reception.
yes.
Yeah, so, and we didn't really get to see why, you know, we didn't see the beginning of the fight. We only see him getting kicked out. So I feel like we really watched him from afar, I feel like, in this episode. We didn't really talk to him. We saw him yelling at his son. You know, he clearly has an interesting relationship with his children, parenting-wise.
He's not the nicest person.
Right. But I feel like he's just going after this one lead that maybe it's a little obvious that he could potentially have been the one, you know,
involved in his daughter's
But I'm
murder.
going to bring it back to the bar. When they were having the honest conversation, I felt like he was really telling Camille the truth when he said to her, the closest male relatives are always the first suspects.
Yes.
Because
so why wouldn't he be?
That is standard FBI procedure. I know personally.
Karolina knows
watching
this because she has done a stint in the FBI.
No, never. But I've watched a lot of TV.
Yeah, me too.
And that's what they tell you, so I believe it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he also says to Camille when they're in this bar setting, and he's kind of like, I'm saying all this off the record about what I've been investigating, is that he's saying John Keene, Natalie's brother, might also be a suspect. And we'll get a lot more into John a little later, but it seems that Bob Nash and John Keene seem to be at the top of his list that he's feeling a little weary about. And then the pig. So let's get to the pig. So he goes to the morgue. He wants to see Natalie's body. All of her teeth are pulled out.
Which that was so disturbing.
I was like, who does that? Oh, it's just so gross. Like, her mouth was open. It was just all gums. But he was just curious and asking the coroner, like, why, like, how did the teeth get pulled? And he says household pliers. And he asks which one, like, what kind. And so he takes it upon himself to go get a bunch of pliers and then a pig's head, because it's a hog butchering town, and try and do it himself. Were you guys a little queasy watching that, or was that just me?
No, that wasn't that bad for me. There was another scene that was really bad for me, but that wasn't it.
Well, I saw you flinch on that one. Yeah, we'll get to her.
I was just imagining my own teeth being pulled.
Oh, I know.
Not that she was alive when her teeth were being pulled, but still.
Maybe she was.
But maybe she was, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Didn't it? I think he alluded to
that they don't know.
Well, yeah, they don't know. But
I
mean,
think
I'm just saying.
God, could you imagine?
Why you're alive.
Think about that.
Yeah.
No, don't think about it.
I don't want to think about it. But it seemed the coroner was saying if you do it, the adrenaline would be pumping.
Yeah.
And so if you did it right away, like maybe they kidnapped her and then did it. And everybody in this town seems to be convinced this is a man that did this.
Yeah.
Because of the strength it would take to pull
What
the
blew
teeth.
my mind is that the detective or the police chief, like, just completely blew off that a woman could have any involvement. As
Of course, in this small town.
You're like, I could do that.
It's a small town.
But I'm just saying, there's like, I get it. The kid is like in like a messed up place, but even Detective Willis, right? No.
Yeah, Detective or Chief Vickery.
Yeah, Detective Willis, even he said it when he was speaking to Camille. He was like, No, I'm saying that because I pulled the
Yeah,
the
I
pig's
actually
teeth
pulled
out.
the teeth and
So
tried
gross.
that myself.
But with that aside, who's to say that it's only one person?
I know. We don't know. I don't know. Live chat,
Yeah.
do you think it was more than one person that did this? Do you think it was definitely a man? I'm super curious. I think it was a woman personally that did it. But that's just the vibe I get because all
I'm
these women
starting
in this
to
town are
wonder
weird.
if it was her sister.
Yeah, she's a little creepy.
She's got a lot of.
Interesting.
She's
Yes,
interesting.
demons.
So let's just get to Emma because why not? Let's just go
do
into it. So in the beginning they're getting ready for this funeral and Adora, the mom, says, you know, Emma, you're not going. She's not letting her go.
Right.
And Camille asked, like, how close were you to the girls? And she said close enough to be sad. So do you think that she was close enough to be sad? Or because you know how girls are that age, it's like you like someone one day, the next day they're not your friend anymore. So I'm curious. Do you guys think that they were all friends with Natalie, or was there like
I'm
weird
sure-
girl
I'm-
stuff going on?
Yeah, probably weird girl stuff going on, but I feel like they
Not to say
definitely
girls can't get
all-
along, I don't mean to
Yeah,
say
they
that.
definitely all know each other
Yes.
since they're from the small town. But do I believe that her tears are real or her sadness is real? No.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't.
she's playing her princess crown to a T.
Oh yeah, I mean she's wearing those like nightgowns that look like she's from the 50s. So
She literally looks like another character from her like streetwear that Camille keeps catching her out into.
yes.
Like, the stuff she wears at home to make her weird dollhouse, and it's so.
It's like she is a doll.
Oh,
Yes,
it's so
yes.
creepy. It's like something that I would expect to like pop out of like Silence of the Lambs. And,
Yes.
like, it's gonna come out like Emma.
Emma.
Which I did mean
Except
to
she would be
mention
Hannibal.
this. I meant to mention this earlier when he did say that Natalie Keene was propped up like a doll.
Yes.
I mean, it just goes along with all of the doll.
The dollhouse.
The doll references.
Yeah.
Emma being like a doll for her mother.
Yeah.
It's just like that's
This is
really
like
trickled
solidifying
in.
my theory
Yeah.
here.
Yes, save it for
Yeah.
predictions. I'm sure everyone's boiling for the predictions.
Yes, yes.
So they get ready for the funeral, and Adora does not want Camille to be reporting during the funeral. She very much is like, I knew these girls and I'm sad, and wants everything to be very prim and proper. But once they get to the funeral, it seems that the entire town is there. Obviously, it's a small town. Chief Vickery is there. Detective Willis, and Detective Willis is thinking that the murderer would show up at the funeral, which I think is super ballsy. But, I guess that
I
they
think
want to
the
see the
murderer-
scene, right?
Yeah, the murderer would totally show up. Nobody
Yeah.
knows it's them.
Yeah, that's true. And they're just watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sitting there being like, I'm so sorry for your loss. It's sick.
It is so sick.
If you're sick enough to kill a person, you're sick enough to like fake grieve for them, I feel.
True.
Everyone's just suspicious of everyone.
Yeah, as they should
Everyone's
be at
looking
this point.
around. Yeah.
As they should be. So obviously this is bringing back a lot of memories for Adora because of Marion.
Well, I felt like
So-
Adora just made it her funeral. It's like she had a second funeral
Yes.
for her favorite daughter, and she was
Oh,
like
it's
the
so
whole
creepy.
time, it was just like,
Ew.
oh, this happened to me.
And then the eyelashes.
Yeah.
What do we think about these eyelashes? 'Cause
What
she
eyelashes?
Keeps,
Wait, I
she
missed
keeps
it.
she keeps
yeah,
pulling
she keeps
them.
pulling
Oh yeah.
And there's a flash of her
Yeah.
at Marion's funeral pulling them.
Well,
and
it's
that
kind
seems
of-
to be a trigger.
I mean, it's kind of like the way Camille has to cut herself, which we see in this, or
Yes, we
I mean,
see.
I don't know what you'd want to call it, whatever she is, self-inflicting harm.
Yes.
But it's kind of like Adora pulling out her eyelashes. That's her thing, and Camille has her thing, with
Which
her
is-
cutting.
And I
drinking
feel
and
like
then hurting
Emma's
herself.
might be murdering people.
Yeah, we don't know what Emma's little tick is. Yeah, we're gonna find out though. So they're at the funeral, and Camille's making notes. She's sitting right behind John Keene, Natalie's brother, and some girl, and she writes down who's Jackie O. So I wonder if this character is going to become a bigger
Yes.
part of things because we do see a little bit more from her a little later.
Yeah.
But she's comforting him. She seems to be like really concerned, and then when the mom goes up to speak, Camille is continuing to take notes and look around and see that Bob Nash is completely trashed in the back. And so there's just all these characters kind of aligning in the same place. And then the best part was that her dress rips, and that's her mom's dress.
That she made her wear after she said, I don't want to wear it.
Yeah. And so could you see scars? Or was I just making that up?
I
I
couldn't
think you
tell.
could.
Okay, because when she ripped the dress, I was like, oh,
I thought that
was she
that's
cutting
why
there?
she rushed off, was not because the dress just ripped,
Yeah.
but because if anybody paid attention, they'd see her scars and have bigger
Yeah.
questions than.
Then, yeah, why is your dress
missed
ripped?
that.
So she rips the dress. She runs out to get liquor, you think, but she's going to get a sewing kit and runs into Emma, our favorite person, and her civvies, as she called it last episode, which is basically not her doll clothes, her regular teenage clothes. And do you think she was drinking with her friends?
100%.
Because they were like in the corner sneaking something.
100%. That's why she was passed out when Camille got home later.
Yeah, yeah. And
all crazy on the bed.
But she was bragging to all of her friends about how cool her sister was, and she's known her for like 3 minutes. Did you guys find that weird?
Yeah, to me it was a little passive aggressive almost, or like a little jab, like, look how cool my sister is.
Yeah.
Look, you know,
Isn't
just
my
another
sister cool?
facade.
But see, I also took it as like kids do that as well when they have like a successful or older sibling or cousin or family member. They like make them seem even cooler because it like makes them cooler by association.
Yeah.
Like my family is so awesome. What does your big sister do? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. But my sister's drinking
Cool.
and cutting herself.
And giving us money to go drink.
Yeah. Yeah, she even says, like, you know, be careful with the vodka. So it's like she's almost trying to bond with her in this, like, we both were rebellions of our mother kind of a thing. Adora would flip out. I mean, completely flip out if she saw that interaction.
I feel like she would have an how do you say the word? You have a heart attack, but
Palpitation.
Palpitations?
No, it's like an apoplexy. Whatever. I can't get the word out.
Some
there.
huge
Her
word
heart
that we don't know.
burst. I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like her mom would have a heart attack if she
Yes.
saw that. Not even just because of the interaction, but because that her little doll is wearing those clothes and drinking.
And roller skating. I don't...
And then...
What's up with the roller skating in this
it
town?
is a faster way to get
exercise.
around.
That's true, but it's like not roller blades. It's like old school roller skates.
Yeah.
Like,
Interesting
is
choice.
Is this town that kind of dated, I guess?
I was actually wondering if she took them from Marion.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that.
Because there
That's
was
a-
that scene
yeah.
where she goes and she's like, was she perfect? Remember in the pilot?
Yes.
So it made me wonder, she must go in her room and go through. I would. If that was my house and I had a dead sister, I would.
Yeah.
In her room
Well,
was like a shrine. I would go through her stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a parallel between one of the first scenes that we see with Marion and Camille as young girls roller skating, and now Emma and her friends are doing that as well. So yeah.
It's almost like everything's repeating
Yeah.
itself in like a really creepy way. Like
Super
everything, like
creepy.
the murder. I mean, I don't think Marion was murdered. It seems like she died because she was sick. But it just seems like the little girls, you know, dying and the roller skating, and it just all seems a little unsettling. So we get a phone call with the editor, with Curry, Camille's editor, and he's clearly like really pushing her to paint a picture of who Natalie was because the funeral happened. Now everybody's going to the parents' house to, you know, have food and all of that jazz, have not a party, but to have people over.
Reception.
And he really wants to know, like, who is she? What's up with her family? He really wants to paint a picture. So when she walks in, did you guys make out any of those whispers? I feel like everyone was talking about Camille when she walked in,
Yeah.
but I couldn't make out the little tidbits. Like,
Seemed like even her mom was talking about her. Like,
yeah.
But they did say, I believe one of the whispers was,
I thought
look
they
at
were
her
talking
just strolling in here like that. You know?
Yeah,
something.
kind of like she owns the
Just-
place. How dare
yeah.
she?
See, I thought that they were about Natalie because they all had such nasty things to say. Like that one girl that she came upon that was like, I don't know who that her mother was describing because that is not the Natalie that I know.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get a sense of that in the bedroom with the lavender walls versus the creepy spiders. Like that kid was kind of sick. Like what little girl do you know just keeps like
Yeah.
trapped spiders and spider like rat creepy stuff.
Well, I think they were whispering about Camille because she like just walked in the door.
Yeah. And everyone was kind of looking at her.
But they were saying nasty things about her for sure. I mean, I just couldn't make out a few of them, so I didn't know if you guys caught that. But yeah, so she comes in, she hears all these whispers, and then like Karolina's talking about there's this girl Ashley that's the Jackie O that was sitting next to John Keene, and she's saying, you know, her mother described her one way and clearly she was not. So this is obviously extremely interesting to Camille because she's like, well, who was she then? Was she, you know, maybe going behind her mother's back, sneaking out, doing bad things that we just didn't know about?
She's another carbon copy of Emma.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. She's one way with her parents and a different way in her personal life.
Well, do you guys think Ann Nash was that way? The first
Yes.
victim? Because
I
her dad
possibly-
described her kind of like tomboy.
I think this is the pattern, totally.
Tomboy girls apparently is a thing that that this person
but
is.
I was thinking
it could
more
be a
so
woman.
the hidden like lives behind what their parents thought and what they
Yeah.
were actually doing. Like, what are
True.
those girls getting up to? Because what are the odds that they're all around the same age and that Natalie and Anne weren't friends with Emma? I feel like that's not
Yeah.
possible, right? I feel like they have
Yeah.
to have been friends, and I feel like they were all in on their like
They were
sketchiness.
friends.
But like you said,
know,
at least
quote, unquote.
they all knew each other. Because then when Camille does go into Natalie's room without permission, we do
Right.
see that she was a tomboy. She had spiders, but then she had on her mirror like and hate, and there was 2 columns, and it had
couldn't read them.
Yeah, it had said like and
Yeah.
hate, and it had 2 columns, and Anne was in
With the names.
was in
yeah,
like.
that's right.
So she liked Anne Nash, but I didn't pay close enough attention to who was on the hate. So if you're in the live chat, you did.
Yes.
I'm
and
really curious.
Speaking of the live chat,
Yes, please,
let's shout
give a
out
shout out.
Aaliyah Jordan. She was live chatting with us last episode as
Hi,
well.
Aaliyah.
She has a comment about the spider. She says, lots of people have pet spiders and stuff, though. It's weird and gross to me, but people do it.
Yes.
Which, very true.
It's very true. It's very true.
And,
But that could mean something later. We just don't really
Yeah,
know.
well, also when they're in the park, they're showing, spiders, spider webs. I kind of feel like it's just going along with the theme of all the, I don't know.
lies?
Web of lies,
Yeah.
just,
Big Little Lies.
I mean, it's definitely,
House of Lies.
Big Little Lies.
definitely just gives
Yeah.
you, I mean, I think most people have a reaction to spiders,
Yeah.
probably leaning towards the negative. At least
Yeah.
I do. So I don't know.
People
it gives
aren't
that,
loving on them as
eerie
much.
Feeling, yeah.
If I discovered a spider that big in my house, I would just burn the whole house down and be like, we just had to start again. It
Sorry.
was bad.
And I also want to shout out our other live chatter.
Yes.
Excuse my pronunciation. Anonyma Apella, who I believe is from the Philippines.
Oh,
so
hello.
really
What
cool.
time
Thank
is
you
it
for
there?
thank you for joining us,
Yes.
and keep live chatting with us.
Yes, thank you guys so much. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, please go on and rate us. Give us that 5-star rating. 1 through 4 just do not work. So 5, that would be great. And subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out here every Sunday at 8.
Yes.
So we also have some girls that Camille went to high school with that are, come up to her like, I didn't know you were back in town. Like, of course they knew she was back in town. And Jackie, her mother's friend that we met in the first episode, who is hilarious, is kind of like, why are you talking to those vipers? Is what
Which
she
that
calls
was such
them.
a great line.
Don't talk, because I mean, when you come back to your hometown, there's going to be people asking a lot of questions, and one girl said, hide your liquor and hide your men, or something like that. So apparently Camille used to do all the things she still does, which is drink and hang out in bars with men. But these women talked a lot about John Keene, Natalie's brother, and kind of alluded that him and Natalie had an unnatural relationship with each other. Like maybe there was a little bit of incest going on.
But this is also a small town, and again,
Yeah.
it was coming from the women who were a bunch of vipers. So it's like, how much
Yeah.
of it is actually like real, like based in reality, and how much is
Yeah.
it they're just haters?
Yeah, or they just want to have a story. They're like, oh, this is a good piece of gossip, so we'll just
Yeah.
stretch it to the
Yeah.
limit.
But have you
Yeah.
ever seen a relationship between, say, a brother and sister that it kind of felt a little too close?
Yeah, there's
and
like
you're
a
kinda
little- you're like,
"Ah, it's
that's
a little too close for
Weird.
comfort.
I
Yeah.
don't know how I
Not in
feel
my
about
personal
that.
life. I don't know any brother and sister who are like that close.
Yeah. It's like that. Do you remember the episode of Friends when Jennifer Aniston goes on a date with a guy and then his sister's in town and she's like, I have the bath ready, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
I
so maybe
forgot about
maybe
that
it was
episode, yeah.
maybe it was
Yeah.
something like that. So
So I don't know, but they're definitely planting a lot of seeds about John.
Yeah.
Because one girl was even like, I thought he might be gay. So it's like there's just a lot of
I feel like that's all like misdirection.
yes.
They're trying to make us think that John is this terrible guy, but I think it's going to be a woman, and I think
Yes.
it's going to be the least suspect person. At
Yes.
this point, I would believe more that Adora did it out of anger
Oh,
because
yeah.
the girl wasn't listening to her when she's like, I wanted to change her and
Yeah.
try and save her, make her good.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, she
what?
could
So
say
you
that.
didn't make her good, so you killed her? You crazy.
Well, I'm
Or you
curious.
helped your daughter
Did
kill
you
her?
guys think that the Big Little Lies reveal, and not? I hope we're not spoiling this for anybody since it's been a long time. But did you all see that coming in Big Little Lies? That was going to be how it ended, or that he was going to be the
No.
one that Shailene Woodling's character was raped by?
Yes,
like that was
I
a
picked
little
up
obvious.
on really early.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's totally her half brothers.
Yeah.
yeah, Leah
Yeah.
Moriarty is also another author that I follow closely. So
Yes.
I had read the book. So,
Do you feel that her and Gillian Flynn are similar in their writing?
A little bit. I feel like Gillian Flynn is definitely darker.
Yes.
And Leanne Moriarty has some comedic, drops in there. So more comedy. This is,
If anything,
comedy drama.
Yeah, I was
said
gonna
comedy
say.
I was like, dramedy is a
dramedy.
word. Yes, it's a genre.
I was just gonna say, if I was to compare this to anything, I would actually compare it to Gone Girl.
Yeah.
And that whole movie was misdirection, and then like 3/4 of the way, and
you're like, wait.
she's sick.
So we have a lot to look forward to.
Yes, because I feel like it
Yeah.
is going to take that kind of weird twist.
Hope so.
So after we're in Natalie's room, Camille goes outside to talk to Natalie's dad and kind of tries to probe him a little bit about Bob Nash, and he kind of says that Anne and Natalie were friends until they weren't. And he was kind of glad because he thinks Bob Nash is not the greatest guy. So there again, there's another character witness saying this guy's kind of bad news, and apparently Anne and Natalie maybe had some sort of falling out. So who knows? That's maybe the like and the hate. Like maybe she liked her one day and then didn't like her the next, and who knows? Who knows how that's related to anything? But I thought that was interesting that they were friends until they weren't. So
Also,
what happened?
Also interesting that Camille lets the spider out because she doesn't want it to starve.
Yes.
You know.
Because what were the parents going to do? Just let all
I
of
kept
that...
thinking it was gonna come back in the house and kill everyone.
It's not that big.
Different movie.
It's not that big.
Have
Okay.
you guys not seen Arachnophobia? That's a
Oh, God.
documentary.
I saw
a
the
documentary.
movie Arachnophobia when I was like
So did
6. It
I.
was haunting. It was
haunting.
absolutely haunting. So now to the most interesting part of the episode. Before we get there, I know Heather has a little something to say about some other shows we got going on here.
After Buzzers. For all of you watching and listening, our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from drama, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There is no network that works harder to serve television fans, but we really need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. And by subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. But for now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
and
you,
you can
yes.
catch me tomorrow night on The Handmaid's Tale finale at 6 o'clock. I'm so sad that show is ending. Another crazy, sick
Yes.
drama. What other shows are you guys on right now, if any?
Yes, Teen Mom 2 tomorrow night at 9 p.m. and Below Deck Med at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays.
Nice.
I am just doing Sharp Objects.
She is
Not
dedicated.
just.
I will just
This
be
is a
Sharp
good
Objects
one.
too
Well,
after my Handmaid's
I
hat is hung
I mean
up.
it AfterBuzz because Supergirl and Arrow are on hiatus.
Yes.
So I'm here.
Well, yes, thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate our fans so much. Continue to be talking to us on the live chat, and Heather will give you guys a little shout out.
Yes.
So to get to the best part of this episode, I thought, was that we find a little piece of information out that Camille runs into some kids, and they mentioned to her that there was a kid who saw Natalie
yes.
being abducted.
I just got chills, actually.
Yes.
What brats? But like what?
Oh, these kids were
realistic-
such brats.
But such realistic portrayal of kids. Like recently,
Yeah.
I interacted with children, and I was like, oh, that's why I don't like other people's kids. Right. I'm gonna leave now.
Also, this kid had a mullet, which I thought was kind of cute. It's very southern and cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this James Capizzi kid apparently saw Natalie getting taken away, but he says it was by the woman in white. And Camille immediately recognizes that phrase as something of folklore that went on in Wind Gap, and she's heard the folklore.
Right.
So she goes to his house. And what was your guys' first impression of this kid? He's sitting there like with a gun.
Yeah.
I didn't
He's
notice
maybe
he had a
eight.
gun
I
until he
anyone to
pulled it
protect
up.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah,
This is
But
the
he was-
my first thought was like, this is the NRA's dream and like my worst nightmare.
An 8-year-old kid.
Child soldiers, yeah. A
Oh,
gun
no.
for everyone.
He was still being respectful. He said, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, he did say yes, ma'am.
I told
Exactly.
the- I
That
told
just
the
solidifies
police.
their dream.
Yeah.
And the mom's like, are we breaking a law? You got money for me? Then I ain't got no words for you. And I was like, okay, lady.
Yeah, so
Classy.
Camille's trying to get something out of this kid, but he keeps saying that it was the woman in white. He told the police this. They didn't believe him. They thought he was
Yeah.
seeing ghosts. His mom's a meth head. She wants money to talk, and Camille can't do that. So I thought it was just a really interesting scene because I think this kid is going to come back. And also, did you notice that Camille was seeing the woman in white? In the woods, but who knows? That could have been like her younger self seeing it. It could have been a flashback.
We definitely couldn't tell who it was. So.
When she didn't mention it, it made me wonder, like, is she just imagining it?
Exactly. Or was she there?
Because wouldn't she have said something?
No, I think she's imagining it. I think that's one great thing about this show so far is that we're seeing a lot of things that we don't know are there. Or are they,
is it present day?
Right,
is it
exactly,
the past?
Which I'm really loving. So, I personally don't think that the woman in white was there, but it's kind of giving us a little insight,
Yeah, because maybe she saw the woman in white as a kid, and maybe that flashes coming back to her.
Exactly.
We don't know. Yeah. We don't know. So he said Natalie threw a ball, or they were throwing a ball together, and it went into the woods, and she followed it, and that's basically all he knows. And then he saw the woman in white. So this is all we know so far about this woman in white, except for that it's town folklore, and apparently.
But then it also makes more sense that it was the kids who did it, because kids are more likely to like invest in folklores and try and like use them to like scary. Like, didn't you ever do that as a kid? Just like hear a spooky story and
tell
like
scary
try
stories.
and like scare your friends with it or your cousins or whatever.
Well, when she tells Chief Vickery about this, like, why didn't you take his story seriously? And he says it's a bit of folklore, and he really strongly feels that it was a man who did it. Once again, another person who says, he doesn't believe him because it was a man.
And also in this town, I feel like the children or the youth aren't really respected as, valuable opinions.
Oh, of course.
So... Yeah, I just think it kind of goes along with that. Like, the adults know best.
And also the kid was poor.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like that Camille called him out on that. Is it because he's a kid, or is it because he's poor?
Yeah. Is it because his mom's a meth head and apparently has cancer and...
I was like, this is terrible, but I was in my head and I was like, I wonder what'll kill her faster, the cancer or the meth?
I know. She looked in a bad way. So then we come to the end of the episode where we're back at the house. Adora and Emma are putting together more things for her little dollhouse. But right before that, Alan, her husband, tries to have a moment with her after the funeral, and she keeps picking her eyelashes, and he says, "You don't want to look like a hairless cat, do you?" Which I just wanted to say that because I thought it was really funny, because obviously he's recognizing there's an issue. So.
I love her like reaction where she was like,
yeah, I know. She was like, "It's not today. Let's not be silly today." I'm like, "You're so weird, Adora." So at the end, they're doing the whole dollhouse thing, and Camille goes upstairs, takes a drink, naturally, and then here's Emma crying, and when she comes down, there's like this weird scene of Emma like flipping out.
Yeah, on the floor.
And nobody's telling Camille
arms.
why.
I was like trying to figure out if they were trying to give her an injection for something.
That's what it seemed
like. They're holding her down.
Yeah, like in a mental institution.
Yeah, it was
like,
weird.
Her some weird injection? Like, what is happening? And then they got all weird and creepy about it.
Yeah, and then Adora says to Camille, she wouldn't answer, like, is Emma okay? She was just like, I knew those girls, and Natalie reminded me of you, and I tried to help her because I clearly couldn't help you.
And that's what gave me a red flag.
Yeah.
That her mom is not...
How did she try to help Natalie? But at the very end, Camille's typing up her article about so far what she has to her editor, and she ends up sending it even with the line about Natalie's room, which she did not have permission to be in, and her editor said that was kind of a big no-no. But she kind of says, F it, and hit send. So a first article is going to come out. People in the town are going to read it. I wonder what's going to happen with that. So we will save our predictions. But I know this part made you cringe, so I want to go back to it real quick before we get to our special segment.
This was the hardest thing to watch.
That when Camille was apparently using her sewing needle to cut herself, and she puts it right in her fingernail. And it was
when she pushed it under her nail bed, I tapped out. I was like, oh, I'm going to pass out. I got to go.
Yeah.
It's too painful.
So the very end, she takes that same sewing needle and starts to, on her stomach or below her stomach. We don't know. It's a weird show. She's going to carve something else into her body.
We definitely got to see a lot more cuts on her.
Yes.
Again,
episode.
I'm really glad that HBO is addressing mental illness and self-harm, and that they had a number. So if you did watch this episode and you feel triggered, please call the hotline, because there are people who do want to help you, and they are really hard themes to watch.
Yes, it is. Definitely don't let your children watch it. It
Yeah.
definitely is an
Yeah.
18 and over, 21 and over
Yeah.
show.
Adults too, like whatever you're
Yes.
grappling with.
Absolutely. Well, that is the core of what we're going to talk about. Yes. I think that this is a very info-packed episode, so I'm going to save the last bit of what we want to say for predictions. I'd love to get into our special segment, the Feminist Chronicles with Karolina. Who are we highlighting today?
Hey guys, so for those of you tuned in on YouTube, you're going to see a photo pop up of this lovely Victorian lady and all the lace and uptight regalia that came with the Victorian era.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
But her name was Elizabeth Cochran, and she is originally from Pennsylvania, and she lived the rest of her adult life in New York City. So some interesting facts about her is that her first job was at the Pittsburgh Dispatch, and she used to actually write about working class women and the problems that they face until the factory owners complained about her, so they moved her into the women's column. And then she...
As a punishment, I'm sure.
Yes. And then at only 21, she actually traveled to Mexico to serve as a foreign correspondent for the Pittsburgh Dispatch. And she reported on the cultural significance and daily lives of Mexicans until she kind of got into it with the Mexican government over a cartel, and she escaped back to the U.S. And
Probably a good move.
Yes.
Yeah, they tried.
Great
She commented on like how it was very like undemocratic and things were being underhanded, and she uncovered it, and she left, went back to Pittsburgh, and then she talked her way into a job because when she went back to Pittsburgh, they put her back on the women's column, and she was like, no. So
I'm past that.
Yeah, she was like, no, I'm done. Bye. So she moved to New York and was penniless for 4 months until some way, somehow, she talked herself into the editor's room and the editor's ear and got a job at New York World, where she would actually do something that would change journalism forever. She is the first woman ever, the first person ever, to do undercover investigative journalism.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
So in New York,
awesome.
this is the late 1800s, I believe it was 1889. She spent 10 days in a madhouse. She actually went to the lunatic asylum on Blackwell's Island, and they only released her 10 days later at the behest of the New York World. Wow. And she wrote a book and also a series of published columns called, what was it called? I lost it. Oh, 10 Days in a Madhouse. And it actually prompted it's
like properly titled.
And it actually prompted asylum reforms. And then after this, the New York World actually entrusted her to a worldwide piece where she became the first woman to travel the world in 72 days.
That is very impressive.
Elizabeth.
Very cool.
I want to read that book. It sounds so interesting.
That sounds very interesting.
It's really crazy, but it actually did prompt like asylum reform, and people started looking into it. And Blackwell Island actually was closed a few years later because they realized that what they were doing to people was actually torture.
Yeah.
So if it hadn't been for her to go out and publicize that and to put yourself through that, can you imagine?
Wonder if they were teeth pulling.
There's probably a lot of
I was thinking they used to do lobotomies then. How terrifying! But she put herself through it. And
Good
then
for
she,
you. Good for her.
Investigative journalism. I didn't
for
do
her.
it. I'd be like, no, I'm cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
We also have a little piece of news and gossip for you guys, so let's get into that.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so for those of you who are big fans of Adora on Sharp Objects, make sure to check out Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, because she was on there and she gave some pretty juicy details, literally very juicy details about Justin Timberlake from working with him on that movie that he did with Mila Kunis, Friends with Benefits.
Oh, I love that movie.
So check it out. If you're a big NSYNC or Justin Timberlake fan, you might be thrilled, or you might cry into a carton of ice cream because he is married now. But it's good.
Sad day.
It's juicy and it's really personal. I can't believe she talked about it. So make sure you check it out.
Did she talk about anything Sharp Objects?
No.
She didn't give us anything?
Nothing on Sharp Objects, but she definitely gave some details on Justin Timberlake.
Well, I'm definitely going to check that out. And we have some predictions for you guys.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So let's remember this is only an 8-episode series, so there are going to be probably really heavy episodes coming up with a lot of stuff
Sure
coming
hope
our
so.
way. So
Yeah.
Heather, take it away. What do you think?
Yeah, so one of the scenes that stuck out to me this episode was Detective Willis and Camille, obviously, in the bar, and their relationship to me is getting a little more familiar. They're
little
joking around,
flirty.
and I feel like they're going to be working closely together in the next
Yes.
couple of episodes. So I'm excited to see that.
Yes.
I'm just gonna jump in on that. I think they're gonna do it. I definitely think they're gonna hook up. Like that scene is coming. They cast that man for a reason.
Oh, yes.
They're like, here you go, Amy Adams. Yeah, he's a good actor too, but you're welcome.
Yeah, you're exactly. You're welcome. Is this casting? Are you to approve this? I think there's going to be a lot more with Bob Nash. I think he's going to be a bigger character. We're going to kind of dig in a little deeper to maybe his doing with it, and then maybe a little more with the woman in white. Maybe we're going to hear a little more about the folklore. Yes. Maybe things are going to start to come into place that, from the story itself are going to start to fall. So I'm curious.
Say, I think we're going to see more about the townspeople because I feel like we're really missing that point of view.
And they kind of suck, to be honest. They say a lot of really nasty things about people. So
they're very complex.
They are, and they like their town the way it is. And we can't wait to see what's going to happen in Wind Gap. So before we go, I would love for us to know where we can find you guys on social media.
Yes, you guys can follow me at 500 Days of Heather.
Hey guys, I'm Karolina Benetti, and you can find me on Instagram as LenaBean113 or on Twitter as Karolina Benetti.
And hey guys, you can find me on Twitter at Lesley Powers15 and on Instagram at LMPowers15. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching Sharp Objects. Join us next Sunday at 8 o'clock, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, viewers.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.